Welcome. This is Rob Fighting with another Duel Commander video. I plan to do it regularly every Thursday, play a Duel Commander video. For the first of the series, I have chosen a deck list by Adrien Lopez. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. It was from a 100 people tournament in France. He played Prossh. I love Prossh very much, big mana creature, and you try to play with the kobolds, either Goblin Bombardment. I saw Yawgmoth, also a fantastic way to use the goblins. Porphyros, a fantastic way to use the goblins. And in total, it's just a ramp deck that plays the best mana elves. That also play some of the big green creatures like Ice-Tail Explorer, Primeval Titan, Great of Behemoth, that plays fantastic multicolored cards, Chaos Defiler, Minsk and Boo, Morlock. So the deck looks like so much fun, and I'm curious how it will go. I will play the league and then record from the playback, that the waiting times in between the matches is as short as possible. If you enjoy a live commentary more, that means a longer video, longer games, let me know. I'm certainly up for changing things. Like, this is one of the first tries of Duel Commander on Magic Online. Let me know what you think. I have to point out though that I couldn't play the exact list, because Deadpool trading card is not a trading card that can be found on Magic Online, and I actually don't even know what Magic Online did to the list, because it still shows main deck 99 cards. I wanted to add a Fury, but I cannot see it. But yeah, if somebody of you is a veteran Prossh player, can tell me what it is. Like, it cannot be the lands, because it says 39 lands in the deck list, and I have actually no clue what I added or what changed, because it said that the Deadpool trading card was not found. It is not available on Magic Online. It's a bummer, because this was one of the decks I also was interested in playing. So see you for round 1. Here we go, round number 1 against Dots. It is actually the trophy leader on Magic Online, so right away, strong opponent, playing mono white Thalia, so a deck that actually beat Prossh in the finals of the tournament I was looking at. Let's see if we can revenge our Prossh brother. We have some ramp, we have removal in Chainsaw, and we have Demonic Tutor. This time it doesn't need to find a land. Usually when I play Demonic, it finds a land. So let's see what our opponent is doing. Plains, pass. I started with the Scryland, more lands on top, even though it's a good one. That gives our kobolds +1/+0. I ship it. We do find Shared Animosity, another combo card that is very good once we cast Prossh, because we get the 0/1 kobolds that share a creature type. Opponent has Tectonic Edge that might hurt later. Keeps up the 2 mana to put in Thalia. And this is one of the first big decisions of the entire league, what to find with Demonic Tutor. I don't know the deck really well. I don't know the matchup really well. I just decide to get what I think is the most fun, and that is Meathook Massacre. If you know the matchup, if you're a Prossh expert, if you're Adrien watching how I torment your list, you can let me know what you would have searched with Demonic Tutor afterwards. I felt having a mass removal could be cool. Our opponent has Glimmerlands, making a token, blinking it. Glimmerlands coming back, making another token, blinking it again. So fantastic for power and to draw a card once it attacks. With Thalia, really good synergy. Here we get to play Coalition Relic to ramp us into Prossh, and hopefully that helps. I put the charge count on it right away, probably wrong, but let's see. Here my opponent gets to draw a card with the Glimmer Lens and still gets to blink it with Failure to make Failure bigger and another 2/2. So if he has a little more interaction, the game looks very good for the trophy leading opponent. Recruiter, probably some removal for Prossh. Solitude. And land tax, also fantastic. We plan to put a lot of lands on the battlefield. So here we could play Prossh. And I decide to do exactly this, because we have 6 mana. Opponent has Solitude, that's true. But we still have Shared Animosity next turn, together with our kobolds. Might be lethal, because they all get +5, +0. Opponent gets to search for 3 planes, thinning his deck, 10 cards in hand. Formal Wear is good. Bringing back Recruiter, he can search for a card once again. And he's killing a command tower, reducing my mana. Now you see one of many misplays. I should have played a land, played Ice Till Explorer, then played the second land from my graveyard. Instead, yeah, I'm making these mistakes so you don't have to. Instead, I play Ice Till, I play a land from my graveyard, and the trigger goes on the stack, mill a card. My opponent gets priority, and I knew about Solitude. So the Ice Till that should have been a good ramp spell was not a ramp spell after all. Even worse, if I played the land from my hand beforehand, Mana Confluence or Stomping Ground, probably Stomping Ground, pay to life, the Collision Relic could have been untapped and I could put a charge counter on the relic, ramping 2 mana next turn. So in sum, I lost 2 mana for next turn, and that's of course brutal. Bad play. Now that I know how the deck works, I know that this was not perfect. Again, I'm making the mistakes, so you don't have to. I'm trying these decks without knowing them before, without knowing the list before. I just want to see how they feel, how it feels. This is of course fantastic. Loran of the third path, getting rid of Meat Hook. So my combo, oh, it got rid of my mana. Even worse, because the Ice Till could have set me up to 5 mana. Loran, no respect for Meat Hook. Maybe it's alright. Sylvan, Reprieve is good. A little bit of interaction of the mono white deck. Get to play it again, play a mana, and pass. I still feel good, because when I resolve Prossh, I have the Shared Animosity. That should win the game. Let's draw a card because of Loran. And now this enters, looking at my hand. Spell costs 2 more, making Shared Animosity a 5 mana card, so much harder to put everything on the battlefield. And also, my opponent now knows what I tried to achieve, casting Prossh, then casting Shared Animosity and attacking with my kobolds, which is, of course, dire. Meanwhile, he gets to thin his deck because of land tax, always finding 3 planes, discarding them, so he should draw more action. We have 8 mana. Oh no, we have 6 mana and didn't cast Prossh yet. We cast Prossh. And our opponent has Failure, so he can now blink the Prossh. Maybe he finds removal, given that he already searched for 6 planes and will search for 3 more planes. It is unlikely that he's drawing more lands. It can happen. Land takes, though, one of the best white deck manipulation cards because you thin lands so quickly, so fast. That's probably the reason why he draws a removal spell on thin ice. Gets rid of the Prossh. I put in the command zone, not under the enchantment, because I don't have any removal for the enchantment. I still feel fine because I have Meat Hook. I still feel fine because I have Shared Animosity. The cards I was thinking about were Armageddon and Ravages of War. But I still felt fine. Only 2 out of, let's say, 77 cards in his deck. Minus 3 planes, so even less. So it's Armageddon or bust. At least that's how I feel. 4 mana, it's scary for sure. Witch Enchanter. That's also great because he gets rid of the Meat Hook. Now casting Prossh is also not too exciting. Gets rid of another Kobold, so now they only get +4/+0. It's not actually lethal because he has 3 blockers and one of them can even eat it. So he would probably just block 1 and then blink the Witch Enchanter to get rid of the Shared Animosity. So that's not the way to victory. I felt the way to victory is casting Prossh. Could also cast a removal spell on the Witch Enchanter and ramp. But I decide to put 8 more Kobolds on the battlefield because this will make blocking much, much better for me. And the 9 life could be enough. Let's draw more cards from Loran. Okay, my opponent's floating lots of mana. Untap, untap, untap. Then decides to attack. Blinks Thin Ice, so he has the removal for Prossh. Prossh blocks the 4/4 Thalia, and my goblins block the other 3. My kobolds, I always say goblins. He gives everything indestructible, so it survives. My kobolds do not survive. And now, when the mono-white player taps his mana so quickly, you know what's coming. It's one of the 2 ways to get rid of all my lands. Maybe he plays Cataclysm too, so 3 ways. That's the ways I know of. If you know better, let me know. Feels a bit bad. On the other hand, he also land hexed, I think 4 times in total, got rid of 12 lands in his deck. So he must draw something reasonable. Gets rid of Prossh, and now it looks dire. Back to square one. Play a Tribe Elder, ramp a little bit, but my kobolds will die fairly quickly because they have to block, so I survive. I also put the Prossh under the Unthin Ice. If I draw a removal for the enchantment, it means I would get the Prossh back. I thought this would be a way to victory. On the other hand, I think it's only Shared Animosity that can do it now, but given that I have so little mana, I don't think there is a way. My opponent attacks, I try to block as least as possible, so I still have enough kobolds on the battlefield, but Shared Animosity costing 3 mana is quite a lot. Here I forget, well, I don't know the deck. I have Phyrexian Tower in the deck, so I should have played Mana Sylvan Carroted, Crop Rotation for Phyrexian Tower, sacrifice Sylvan Carroted, and then I had 5 mana to cast Shared Animosity. Then all my goblins had +7/+0. That means he had to block. He blocks 4 of them. I have 8. Oh, it's actually lethal, isn't it? Oh, I'm so bad at this game. It is actually lethal. He only has 4 blockers. 4 come through. They all get +7/+0. It's 28 damage. I didn't make the math. For some reason, I also thought that it is plus 3 mana, so 6 mana in total. But I also didn't know that the Phyrexian Tower is in the deck. Now, after having played the League, I know better. And I'm in for disaster because the Sacrifice, Sanctify, and Vec has pro black and red. Kobolds can block, and the Starfield Shepherd is flyer. So if he gives the Sanctifier protection from green, he has 5 damage that I cannot block, and I die. I missed crop rotation, lethal. That's my bad. And here my opponent will not miss lethal. Sacrifice the Benevolent Bodyguard, give this pro green, and hit me for 5. At least 5. That is. Yeah, opponent sees it. I don't have removal. I checked the deck, but there is nothing that could help me right now. We should have seen the Phyrexian Tower. It is right there. And we die. Let's see if game 2 goes any better. As always, in Commander, no need to sideboard, which is of course fantastic. I mulliganed the first hand, no lands. Second hand looks fine. We have some combo. What would you keep? Removal for Thalia, or the ramp, or Perforos. I decided to bottom the tapped land, hopefully drawing lands, keep the combo, keep Abrupt Decay, and Sylvan Coveted. Oh, I changed my mind. I kept the lands and put away the Bojuka Bok because the Sylvan Coveted might be useful as a blocker. Could be wrong, so let's see what you think. Let me know in the comments. Bojuka Bok, nothing to exile. Opponent has planes. Guide of Souls. That's good for the Caryatid because it's fantastic blocker. But here I can also play a Signet and Ignoble Hierarch to ramp myself. Fantastic. 5 mana on turn 3. If everything survives, of course. 2 mana. Opponent attacks for 1. And we get to keep all of our mana. Here we get to do a nice trick with Wall of Roots, because it's actually a summoning sick wall, but you can put counters on it to make mana, so we get to put a counter on the wall and play Perforos with the counter. I don't respect mana type ever. If you have it, you have it, but it's 1 in 99 cards, so you better have it. 2 cards, 2 mana, Reprieve. Not mana tight, still hurts. The Cloud gets an artifact. Jit, fantastic in combat. Also has Skull Clamp. Let's see what we can do. We have lots of mana. Let's ramp a little bit further and put that Perforos on the battlefield to have a combo next turn. And having 2 great blockers for his 2 creatures. Opponent draws with the Cloud, so chances are dire. He has to sacrifice his creatures to find answers for Perforos, otherwise he will get 12 damage to the face next turn. As always, I mistap, need a jump mana. Let's cast the Prossh. What is my opponent's answer for it? Good answer, an Aang's Iceberg, card that I've never seen before, because it exiles target non-land permanent until this leaves, so it's in a flash Oblivion Ring with even more if you do Scry 2. Interesting. He gets rid of the Perforos, so avoided. Oh, it's actually 14 damage, 6 kobolds and Prossh. Avoided 14 damage to the face. Our board still looks fantastic. Even Armageddon won't hurt so much because we have 3 mana dorks and Arcane Signet. Opponent needs a lot to get out of this. Solitude is number 1, so kills the Prossh. We do have enough mana to just recast him next turn. Plays Jit in an awful artwork. Some Ninja Turtle on it. Equips the Jit. Let's attack. Putting counters on the Jit. It feels quite slow if he wants to handle the kobolds with it. Of course, against the 1 toughness Manatraders. It's fantastic. I block with the Karyatit because the hexproof, there's no way he can use the Jit to finish it off. He equips the Skull Clamp. Kills an Ignoble Hierarch. 1 mana down. So I cannot cast Prossh this turn, but what I can is cast Primeval Titan. I didn't think about Archdruid's Charm and Ninja Team. Probably there would be good alternatives. Casting Primeval Titan means that I get to search lands, I get to have a great blocker, and he has to find another Swords to Plowshares Solitude effect. And here I see the Phyrexian Tower, and I also see Castle Embereth, a way to give my O1s a little bit of power, that they're not completely wasteless or complete waste. They are wasteless then when I give them +1/+0. He decides to put the last -1/-1 counter from the Jit on his own Guide of Souls, drawing 2 cards, finding nothing. We win game number 2. Game number 3, we have ramp, we have some creatures, we have some removal. This feels fantastic. Let's go. And what I like the most, opponent says Plains go, probably meaning a Swords to Plowshares. But we get to Utopia Sprawl on turn 1. So his Swords doesn't really do much. I chose black because I have a bunch of black and green cards, so this forest is a Bayou. Oh no, it's not a Bayou, it's like the black-green double land. It's not a dual land, it's even better, because there's an Utopia Sprawl attached to it. We even drew Lightning Bolts, so more answers for Thalia. I don't think there's much our opponent can do when we have that much early interaction, and we also have a little ramp. I love that the White of the Reliquary is also a way to get to 6 mana to cast Prossh, sacrificing a creature, such as the token from the Orcish Bowmaster, to put a land on the battlefield tapped. Okay. Let's play Badlands, so we have Lightning Bolt open. Maybe there's an argument to be had about playing Scalding Tarn, because if there's, I always forget there's no Wasteland in the format anymore. Back in the days when I played more Duel Commander, there was Wasteland. But now we get to Lightning Bolt the Thalia. We are ahead on mana, we are ahead on board. This game feels close to unlosable. Of course, I also thought this about game number 1, where we lost against Armageddon. Let's see. City of Traders is a good card. He gets to play Thalia again, but we do have Abrupt Decay as an answer for the Thalia. Sometimes the playback doesn't work so well. It's usually a sign of unfair draws. I get to attack for 2 with the white. Now I have Decay, Orcish Bowmasters, and even Crop Rotation. Let's see if I can do something with it. Opponent plays Thalia, and I decide to just Decay with it on this, in the end step, not to wait for his opponent, for his turn. I don't know what there's in the deck, maybe some protection spells. Opponent plays Dust Bowl. Dust Bowl is a land, and what I should have done is Scalding Tarn, sacrifice to find something green. But I clicked too fast. Maybe I also didn't think about it well enough. So he targets the Dust Bowl, targets the Badlands with the Dust Bowl. I have Crop Rotation in hand, so the Scalding Tarn can get a green-red dual land. Then I can cast a crop rotation, sacrificing bad lands, getting another land, still casting Orcish Bowmasters. Smart Robert searches for mountain, cannot be sacrificed or cannot be used to cast crop rotation. So I lose a land. Shouldn't happen. Because otherwise I would have been close to Prossh. Now I'm down to 4 mana. I should have been at 5 mana, maybe even 6 with Phyrexian Tower. Exactly. So I should have cast Prossh this turn. But because I'm such a good player, I couldn't cast Prossh this turn. Oh, I still cast Prossh. Oh, what am I? Ah, yeah, I got the tower anyways. Yeah, didn't matter. Didn't matter. So now my opponent needs to destroy all my lands and destroy all my creatures to get ahead. He doesn't get anything and loses. What did I miss? Oh yeah, it didn't matter because I sacrificed the token to get the tower. Yeah, sometimes misplays are not punished. Lucky me. Round number 2. My opponent is on Atraxa. So control matchup that wins with Dream Halls and then having infinite value with Atraxa Enter the Battlefield trigger. Let's see how it goes. Our hand is miserable. Nothing really that excites me. I ship it. Here we have ramp. Thinking about it now, against a control deck, I'd like to put down the crop rotation because it feels terrible when your crop rotation sacrificing a land gets countered. Classic 2-for-1. We get to start the game with Surveil Land. Probably our opponent will do exactly the same. And I had Phantom Elves on top. Of course, nothing I want. So here I play a spell on turn 2. Probably gets countered. Daze for 2 mana. Yep. I don't think it matters what to play on turn 2. I like the sorcery instance a little more than the creature because the creature means he also gets to play creature removal. And with the Wall of Roots, I can use it in the next turns to cheat on mana because it has haste, technically. And you will see it right here. Wall of Roots. Fertile Ground. So I used the Wall of Roots, put -0/-1 to make a green to cast the Fertile Ground. Knowing the deck now, we play Arbor Elf that untaps a forest. I should enchant the Underground Mortuary so we can net more mana. Opponent brainstorms, not a sign of strength. Cut down on the wall, we still get the Fertile Ground, so we are up to 4 mana. Feels good, our opponent doesn't have much. Ponder. No shuffle. And the Scryland puts down Supreme Verdict. That was a bit odd. Fantastic card against Prossh. Probably has another mass removal. So here we just have land go. If we would have kept the other ramp card instead of crop rotation, would not look insanely much better, but at least we wouldn't have the crop rotation in hand. And now we actually have both crop rotation and Eldritch Evolution. 2 cards I think are very bad against control. Orcish Bowmasters, 2 damage a turn, doesn't really frighten me. If anything, we have all our kobolds that can come into play next turn and block if necessary. I keep the Boseiju. Maybe our opponent has an enchantment I want to get rid of. I talked about the Dream Halls in the beginning. Let's put the Prossh on the stack, make some kobolds. Our opponent counters Prossh. We still get 6/01s and hopefully we get to do something nice with them. Our opponent doesn't attack, just passes, no land. We have Arbor Elf, exactly what I talked about. If the Fertile Ground would have been on the Mortuary, much better. And again, the terrible situation of having these sacrifice green cards against a control deck with mana open. You never want to cast it. I also dislike putting Boseiju on the battlefield. Back then I didn't know that the Atraxa deck likes to kill with Dreamhalls. If I had the Boseiju in hand, I could have gotten the Dreamhalls once he puts Atraxa on the stack. But the Boseiju means I get to make tokens with Westvale Abbey. Once a turn, it's slow of course, but still. Let's attack for 1. Our opponent blocks. And put a Prossh on the stack. Could have been 3 more mana or 2 more mana if I used the Arbor Elf correctly. Here my opponent didn't counter, didn't have anything for the kobolds, so probably means he has mass removal. Oh, he has the Dreamhalls I was talking about. Now he discards Shorikai, puts Atraxa on the battlefield, getting the trigger. Puts in hand Cryptic Command, Lorien Revealed, Tamiyo, and Reflecting Pool. Not too exciting, but the Cryptic Command, of course. Tapping my team, countering anything I have. Means I am in danger, especially because I'm on 14 life, so the Atraxa only has to attack 2 times. I don't draw well. I decide to cast my Crop Rotation. You will see another mistake. Castle Embreth. I wanted to pump my team, but given that I had no mountain in play, except this Wooded Foothills, that could have been a mountain, this enters the battlefield tapped. Bad on my side. If it wouldn't, if it would have entered untapped, I could have pumped and attacked and sacrificed the creature that the Atraxa blocks. Now, of course, this will not be possible anymore. No attacks. Terrible misplay. Enlightened Tutor, even worse. Leyline Binding, removal for my Prossh. Let's see what my opponent does. Tapping mana is a bit awkward when you have Dreamhalls in play. Ha, he realized. Cryptic Command for mana. Bouncing Atraxa to his hand, drawing a card. Playing Atraxa again. So he could have attacked with me first. Maybe I blocked. And then he could have bounced. I don't like the pre-combat bounce, because he definitely missed out on 7 damage and possibly 7 life. Because he wants Atraxa to be in the graveyard or in the exile zone, command zone. I don't like that play of our opponent, so he he came down to my level of play by this play. Still, lots of good hands in our opponent's hand now. Remand Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, as it is on the battlefield right now. Decides to draw a card, not tucking away the Prossh. Even though not only do we have Westvale Abbey, we also have Castle Embreth. Not the biggest fan of this play. Arcane Signet doesn't do much, but our opponent has 7 cards in hand. That could be bad. So, now I get the mountain, little too late. Mycos spawn, not good enough. And I decide to make a mighty 9/7. Oh. Now that I know how my deck looks like, I think casting Eldritch Evolution, sacrificing Prossh would be a good play. I just sacrificed one of the kobolds. Dress down would be bad for my Eldritch Evolution on Prossh play because there's Crater Hoof Behemoth in the deck. Maybe in the end it all worked out. So I just aimed for the Blood Artist, have some sack outlet. At least now he doesn't gain life with Atraxa. So I will definitely swing in. I decide not to swing with Ormondal because he wants to have Atraxa dead, so he can recast it with Dream Halls. Here I pump. Prossh will die. Also my bad, because he takes 8 damage going to 9. If I wouldn't attack with Prossh, he would take 7 damage going to 10, and then I still had Prossh. Plus 9 creatures, yes. No, this survives. I had Prossh plus 6, 7, 8, 9. Exactly lethal. I miss lethal once again. Yeah, deck is complicated. So many weird interactions. He had Swords to Plowshare, so I didn't miss lethal, at least that. Now I got rid of Ormondal. And it looks dire once again. Now he attacks first. Going to 15 life. I am at 16. He has lots of cards. Plays the Wrath. Wraths away my board. It does trigger the Blood Artist, but not in the way I hoped. More lands for opponent. What do I have? Land. And I concede. So I missed lethal. My bad. I needed to take back or hold back the Prossh. He did have the swords to do it with the dress down trigger on the stack. They can just swords my Prossh or Blood Artist, but still missing it. Not the best feeling. Let's see if game 2 works out any better for me. So we have some lands. We do have crop rotation again. We have the combo. We have Demonic Tutor. It feels cool. And most importantly, we do have Archmage's Charm, which is a way to get rid of Dream Halls. So we get to start with a Surveil land. It should be green, so I can cast the Charm. Was green. Explorer, I didn't feel was good enough, because I'd like to draw lands. Let's cast Nature's Law. I hope it resolves. Brainstorm. It resolves. We get another Surveil land. Skull Clamp in the graveyard. We need to draw lands. Then we should be in good shape. Enlightened Tutor in the draw step. Dress down on top. And we get to cast Flare of Cultivation. I cross fingers that it resolves because my hand looks terrible. It does resolve. So we get to play land here. It's fantastic. I should have kept the green open for the crop rotation. But given that I know Dream Halls now, the crop rotation is a fantastic card to discard for Archdruid's Charm to exile Dream Halls. 3 mana, opponent passes, 6 mana. Let's cast Prossh. I wanted tokens because of shared animosity. Turn 4, 6 mana, feels good. No more lies, he gets to counter the Prossh, but I do have the kobolds and I do have shared animosity in hand. Close to beating our opponent. Land go. I don't go for it, I'm scared of counterspell. So I start with Demonic, bait out. Opponent doesn't get baited. I still don't want to cast the Shared Animosity. I feel it has time. Especially now that we have Court of Calling that also can find Crater of Behemoth. I feel we do have time. And here our opponent has the Dream Halls. He will put Atraxa on the stack, discarding Kaya's Gaia, 3 cards in hand. Yes, there's an argument for waiting, because when I wait I get to cast Shared Animosity for free, or maybe Chaos Defiler for free, Archdruid's Charm for free, but I feel the chances of him finding in the top 10 something like a Force of Negation, or any other blue counterspell that he just needs another blue card so he can counter Shared Animosity, is too high. So I decide with the Atraxa on the stack, let's discard that Crop Rotation and exile Dream Halls. It worked. Let's see what Atraxa finds. Shorikai, Lose Focus, Otawara, Lorien Revealed, and Teferi. So it would have been terrible if the Dream Halls resolved, because he had Teferi, he had Lorien Revealed, he had Lose Focus. Yes, Lose Focus is not that great with Dream Halls on the battlefield. I still felt risk is too high. Let's try to win the fair game. Yawgmoth, fantastic card. It resolved. Our opponent needs to have zero mana interaction, Force of Negation, because this is a win with Shared Animosity. Yes, he has Atraxa, but I do have Yawgmoth, so I get to attack. They all get +5/+0, and I get to sacrifice the one that he's blocking. No life gain, and the rest will deal 25 damage. Yippee. I managed the Shared Animosity kill. Especially impressive because there's an Atraxa on the battlefield from my opponent. Still works out fantastic. I even get to draw a card, not that it matters, because our opponent will be at -7 life once the damage is in. Here we go. Game 2 for us. Let's go. Game number 3. We do have Ramp, we do have Demonic, we do have some tool to find with Court of Calling. I would love a Grist in the deck somewhere that you can find, but maybe it's not good enough. Opponent plays Watergrave Shocked. It could mean Force Spike. It could also mean Fatal Push, 1 mana removal. We get to dodge the removal of Wild Growth, correctly putting it on a forest because I have Arbor Elf in the deck. Opponent has 2 mana. Arcane Signet. Again, leaving open the 1 mana removal spell. Here I get to cheat again. Wall of Roots. Activate right away. Cast Demonic. He had Cut Down. Wild Growth. Fantastic. Here I got Minsk Imbue just to have more pressure against the control deck. It's probably not correct. I mean, there are 90 cards in my deck. I just felt from my legacy experience that Minsk Imbue used to be really nice against these control decks because you get to pressure, and while I still develop my board to get Prossh, he has to deal with the Minsk Imbue, and actually quite quickly. So let's put that Minsk Imbue on the battlefield, or maybe do I decide to cast the Mycospawn first? Yeah, I do. Mycospawn, finding land, probably Phyrexian Tower or another Surveil land because I have enough mana to have some pressure on the board. Maybe I like casting the Minsk Imbue here more, but the Mycospawn means I have a 3/3 on the battlefield that attacks, so his Planeswalkers are worse, and I also have 6 mana next turn to cast Prossh. Opponent on 4 mana, if he has 5 mana Dream Halls, it would have been bad. He didn't. That's good for me. Here I play Minsk Imbue. 2 mana up, so I can cast Abrupt Decay. Opponent has Force of Negation, probably had it in hand last turn as well, but maybe no other blue card. Let's swing in for 3. And I decide to Abrupt Decay the Arcane Signet. No Dream Halls, my opponent's deck, so keeping him off mana, off the 7 mana right now feels good because I don't have so much of anything. Resolving Atraxa would have probably been the game. Lorien revealed, okay. It's always scary when the Atraxa deck taps 5 mana just to draw 3. Here we have the Myco Spawn, let's attack. And we also have the 2 elves, or the elf and the bird. And we get to cast Court of Calling. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a total for 3. X is 3. Yeah, these tutors are super hard for me because I don't really know what's good to get. And I usually just decide to get what I like the most and would be the funniest. Probably not the right one to get. So here I tap all my mana. So it will be countered by any counter spell he has. So I will just tap all my mana, convoke 3. Opponent plays 1 Shitong, so he just gets to draw some cards because of our searching, but nothing too scary. And here I look through the deck for a while, and then I decide I want to play Sephiroth. That sounds like a fun card, because it's also a way to drain life and to draw a card. Unfortunately, the bird only nets us a snow-covered swamp. 1 Shitong gets a bit bigger. Phyrexian Tower is cool, because I can actually use it to make more mana. Put Prossh on the battlefield, making 6 goblins, kobolds, not goblins. He just makes a 1/1 and 4 life. And now I get to have some fun. So first I use the Prossh to sacrifice some cards because I really want to flip it. Maybe I should have done it beforehand. But I also have the Spymaster's Vault with the Connive. So I get to sacrifice. Now we have the emblem of Sephiroth, and also I should have done it before. Yeah, I should have sacked before 4 times, and then I could flip it, maybe. I don't know how the card works so much. It doesn't matter. We also get to Spymaster's Vault, which means conniving for the number of creatures that died this turn. And if you have counted correctly, you will notice that lots of creatures died this turn. So you actually get to draw like a bunch of cards. Probably putting the counters on Myco Spawn would have been better. I thought still there was a 3/3. My eyes were not too great. But we have, yes, lots of lands, but also the Lightning Bolt. So I discard everything but Lightning Bolt and white. And our Sephiroth gets 1 counter. I should have put a counter on this. This way he still gets to block with 1 Shitong, but something dies. Actually 3 creatures die, so our opponent is on 2 life. He needs to have an answer for Prossh and an answer for Sephiroth. Good luck. And most importantly, he also needs an answer for Lightning Bolt. This feels like a long game, but the Sephiroth might have been a good pick. Probably not. It was the most fun pick for sure. He bounces the 2 cards, so he found an answer. Then I, in my upkeep, put Lightning Bolt on the stack. And we win. Fantastic. Off to a great start. Round number 3, being 2-0. 2 times 2-1. Fantastic. Now we get to play against Grizzlebrand. So I don't know what the deck does. Probably some black ramp deck with some tutors. Lots of mana because he needs 8 mana to cast the guy. We have some removal. Probably not that strong in the matchup. Some card draw, some an endurance. I wondered if he is a reanimator deck, so I like the endurance. Flare of Cultivation ramp. Having played against the Grizzlebrand now, I know that this hand is probably a bit weak because he doesn't have so many creatures for Vibrance Meat Hook. The ramp could be better, and endurance doesn't do very much against the black ramp strategy. Maybe it's still okay. We start the game with a Surveil land. More lands on top of our library. Fantastic. Prismatic Vista will come in handy. Opponent has Swamp. Pass. We play land and pass. I could play the Wyrms here, but I felt I could get more value out of it, especially because Phyrexian Tower is able to sacrifice all these evoked creatures. We drew probably the best card in the scenario, the best card in the deck in Collision Relic, because the Relic lets us put a charge counter on it right away, and in the next turn we add a mana, and we add a mana for the charge counter, so in total 2. When we draw a land, we have the land in hand, we get to cast Prossh. So Collision Relic, fantastic in Prossh. It in alone ramps us on turn 4 to 6 mana. What does our opponent have? 3 Swamps, Basalt Monolith, so also good ramp. Even more ramp in 1 Power Stone. Noteworthy is that the Basalt Monolith doesn't untap, so he doesn't have the Griselbrand next turn. I don't forget the charge counter, because I want to be casting a Prossh right now. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Here we go. Mono black, of course it resolves. Let's see if he has an answer. Invoke Despair. Not the best answer. I sack a token. Yeah, really not the best answer. Okay, what can we do now? Here I decide to play Wyrms because I wanted to play Wyrms and Meathook Massacre. But it's exactly what my feelings are, because the hand wasn't really so good to begin with. I still get to find Castle Embereth, and I get to use it right away, so my goblins are a bit better. I actually get to attack for 11 here without sacrificing any of the goblins, and next turn I threaten lethal. That's fantastic. Demonic Consultation, he names Dark Petition. Now he has Spell Mastery, 2 instant sorceries in a graveyard, casts Dark Petition. Afterwards he will have 3 black mana. Casting Toxic Deluge for 5, opponent's on 4 life. Cast the Thoughtseize, my hand is shit. Noteworthy, my opponent is on 7 mana. Next turn he gets to cast Griselbrand. I just find some lands. Maybe I should have put the Meathook on a stack, but I've seen that I tapped miserably. Cannot cast the Meathook. At least I get to port his land, so he needs 2 mana to cast the Griselbrand. He untaps the Basalt Monolith. This is exactly enough to cast the Griselbrand if he has a land. Sinkhole on my land, no Griselbrand. He does know about the Meathook. I don't know if I liked his plan. We start with the Artist because in itself it's a combo with the Meathook, because both of them make our opponent lose a life. So I start with that. If I tap differently, I could have used the Culling the Weak to cast Prossh. Didn't make the mana, maybe 4, no, I need the Phyrexian Tower and the Culling the Weak to make enough mana. I get to tap, my opponent could cast Griselbrand, but it's not that scary on 1 life, especially because we have the Meathook. You can just cast Prossh and sacrifice one of the tokens to finish him off. And that's exactly what happens. We win game 1. Game number 2. Griselbrand is still our opponent's commander. Sometimes they switch to Shieldred, maybe even something else. I feel fine. Griselbrand doesn't seem to be so scary because we threaten life really a lot We have some ramp, we have some life drain, we have Chaos Defiler to get rid of Griselbrand or any hateful permanents. He starts with a Peatbog. Scary, scary. One of the ways the mono black deck can get you is Opposition Agent, so I try to play around Opposition Agent the best I can. Maybe I should just sacrifice the land main phase. Here I get to play around Opposition Agent quite a lot. Our opponent kills the ramp. I still want to play around Opposition Agent, so I do it right away. Wild Growth in the graveyard. We have some ramp. Maybe I should have kept it. So let's play Nature's Lore. Let's see if our opponent has the agent. He would need to sacrifice. Oh no, I play the Remembrance. Ha! So no way to Opposition Agent here. Just gets to search for map. Oborg, good way to keep the Bojuka Bog. He has 3 mana again. I feel a bit scared casting that Nature's Lore because our opponent kept 3 mana open the entire time. He didn't have it. That's a good sign. Now we are at 5 mana. We have Greater Hoof. I keep it on top because I feel next turn I get to cast Prossh. The turn after I get to cast Chaos Defiler or Embodiment of Fury, and then we had the Greater Hoof to finish off the game. Attack for 1. Opponent 21 life. That's scary. Even scarier is Throne of Adrien, because that adds 4 mana when you cast a monocolored spell. What a crazy good card. And he even gets to draw cards. Like, the card is so cool. I love it a lot. And it's usually what happens when you play Duel Commander. Like, you have these fringe cards that are not played anywhere else, but they happen to be so fantastic. Like the Throne of Adrien and Griselbrand. Like, can you imagine a cooler card? So lots of mana for my opponent. I feel a bit scared because 21 life means 14 cards that Griselbrand can draw. And it seems to me that I should Chaos Defiler that Throne. It's just too good. My opponent kills the creature. Probably scared of Phyrexian Tower. Remove some of my graveyard. Doesn't matter so much for my hand. I don't even know if it matters for my deck. My opponent knows better than I do. I get to cast Chaos Defiler, getting rid of the scary Throne of Adrien. Let's see what my opponent can do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. A bit further away from Griselbrand. Invests all 7 to cast Ugin Eye of the Storm. Again, fantastic card. And also a way to cast the Griselbrand because he gets 3 more mana. And it means he gets rid of my Chaos Defiler right away on cast. I got to have fun with Ugin in Legacy. In Commander it feels even worse. At least for the player that gets to endure all the fun of your opponent. 9 loyalty also means that even with a fetch land, the embodiment of Fury is not enough. We draw Minsk and Boo. Let's get some hamster going. But still, my opponent gets to have Griselbrand next turn if he so pleases. But our opponent makes life and draws a card. I don't think that's right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think you're supposed to put Griselbrand on the table and draw some cards. Because even if I plus the hamster, he could trade. If I minus the hamster, it's not enough to kill Griselbrand. I am not convinced that my opponent did the right thing. He did draw a colorless card though. Oh no, he didn't. He searched for his library and drew 3 cards. Also fantastic. And now he gets to cast a colorless card and exiling the Minsk and Boo. So it all worked out in the end, even though I would have liked casting Griselbrand there because our opponent was on 23 life. Could have easily drawn. Seven cards. So I get to cast Embodiment of Fury. First time I play that with a fetch land, it means 2 of my lands can attack Ugin on 7 loyalty. So I get to kill the Ugin, also deal 3 damage to him, put crop rotation in the graveyard. Doesn't seem too nice. Let's attack. Opponent is on 20 life. We handled the first issue of Ugin. The next issue of Griselbrand will come next turn. So there you go. Griselbrand and Grief gets rid of my Greater Hoof. Has a mace. I'm playing the Prossh because of the Bastion. Playing the land so something has haste. Let's attack. I can sacrifice whatever he has to Prossh. He still has mace, so it's only 3 damage, but I felt reducing his life total as much as possible is important because of the scary ability of drawing 7 cards. Here we go, draw 7. Combat. Attack. I definitely want to block. The reason is that he cannot activate Griselbrand beforehand. He would just die to my sacrifice triggers. And I only have to beat 10 cards in his hand. So here I get to trade Prossh and Griselbrand. Drain some life. Opponent on 13. 10 cards in hand. Will it be enough? So, Besiege the Queen, another fantastic tutor. Gets a card, casts a card for 5. 6 actually, 6 lands. Now he discards my Fanatic. Discards again. Probably do a lot of discard spells. I can actually see his hand. Yeah, it's a lot of discard. Damnation, which is not too great against my O1s. But maybe he could have casted Damnation. On the other hand, right now he untaps my Embodiment and my O1s don't do anything. So yeah, he discarded himself. I draw Nature's Rhythm. But I can just put the Prossh on the table again. Cannot discard the command zone. And when I count correctly, 12 kobolds and Embodiment of Fury. That is exactly lethal. I start sacrificing. Didn't click through my turn. And our opponent said that I did the math. I can count. Yes, I can. So even though he resolved Griselbrand, drew 7 cards, we killed him with the Bastion. Yippee. Here we are, round number 4. 3-0 start. Fantastic. Our opponent plays Celes Rune Knight. Enters, discard a number of cards, then draw that many cards +1. And then something reanimation style. So I expected a reanimator deck that has a little bit of late game because you get to discard your hand and draw +1. Our hand doesn't feel so great, but I do have Bojuka Bog. Maybe that's enough to get there. Scryland, nothing in the graveyard. I play Delighted Halfling off of a Tiger because I have the black mana. Faceless Looting. Uh-oh. I do have the Bojuka Bog in case there's something big. Mordor. So it is reanimator deck, but nothing of reanimation that's going on. Opponent survey is now probably scared of opposition agent and the like. Nothing in the graveyard except faithless looting. I decide to wait on Bojuka Bok for one turn. Play the Remembrance as a combo start. Could also play Formidable Speaker, but I really don't know what to get. This way I have the Culling the Weak to ramp out Prossh next turn. Opponent has Faithless Looting Flashback. Puts in Iona and the Mud. And this turn I get to cast Prossh and I put Bojuka Bok on the battlefield. That seems fantastic. Green mana, black mana, the little guy. Why didn't I cast Prossh? 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm not able to count. I discard Yawgmoth, get Chaos Defiler. I should have cast Prossh. I would have been exactly 6, because this guy can make red mana to cast my Prossh. So, I'm getting sloppy, or I'm continuing to play sloppy. That is the correct version. Opponent gets to place commander, discard some cards, draw some more. Nothing to reanimate in the graveyard. Now I get to do Culling the Weak for Prossh. Should have done it last turn. But now I do have Court of Calling up and Bastion. Opponent makes some mana. And concedes from the game. 1-0 in round 4. The 5-0 dream is still alive. We have a little bit of interaction. Goblin Bombardment. We can find something with Malevolent Rumble. We have lands, we have ramp. Nothing real to do when he gets to have his unfair reanimation stuff. Marsh Flats. Surveil. Put Archon in the graveyard. Surveil. Bastion. Put it on the graveyard. Archon is dangerous. Opponent has a Shallow Grave. It's not the worst that can happen, but it's still 12 damage. And I have to discard 2. Our opponent gets to draw 2. Having Archon of a Surveil is crazy. Because there are not so many cards in his deck that he gets to Shallow Grave with value. This is 12 life, gain 6. While I basically begin the game with 8 life and 2 cards fewer in hand. We still get to cast Arcane Signet and Delighted Halfling. So the ramp is going. 4 mana. Opponent has nothing but a currency converter. Thoughtseize, my hand is terrible. So 5 mana. I play the Nature's Rhythm without knowing what to get. I want a deck to inspire me. And I decide to get Formidable Speaker. Discard the Teen. Search Chaos Defiler. Maybe knowing the deck now, I would have liked getting Deathrite Shaman. Because it's hate for the graveyard and ramp for Prossh. Opponent casts his commander. Discards Updell. Quite strong, uncommon. Can put it onto the currency converter, of course. What can we find? Bok is a cool draw though. because we get to Chaos Defiler the Converter and bogging the halfling, bogging the Abdel out of the graveyard. That is cool. Once I figure out how to pay for the Chaos Defiler, this will work as well. Five cards in hand though. We have nothing. Tainted Pact. I'm in danger. Toxic Deluge for 4. Nothing to kill for Chaos Defiler. Here the Lightning Bolt does nothing, but I remember Nature's Rhythm. And this time I will get what I was thinking about beforehand. Deathrite Shaman. Opponent has 3 cards in hand, gets a sneak attack. With Enlightened Tutor. Puts it on the battlefield. But no activation. We only have Morlock. I get to make the play I was talking about beforehand. Mana with Deathrite and casting Prossh. Is it enough? Opponent taps a red, puts an Ashen Rider, gets to exile my Prossh and attack for 5 in the air for lethal. So the turn 2 Archon, who dealt 12 damage, is enough to go over the finish line with 1 sneak attack. Yes, the Ashen Rider would exile another permanent, probably Deathrite, but this is only possible because of this Archon on turn 2. Otherwise, yeah. Pity, 1-1, let's go, game 3. The 5-0 Dream is still alive. We have Coalition Relic. The 2 other cards are a bit of a stinker. Maybe it's a mulligan, especially because I have 2 Swamps. Hard to cast Prossh from those. Opponent mulligans. I decide to keep. I'm banking on the Surveil land. I also have the Richardam Port. To tap his mana. Duress is bad, he gets the Relic. And all of a sudden my hand is a stinker. Let's get a Surveil land, Arbo Elf. I let it on top. My plan is to tap his land with the port, and next turn I can play Arbo Elf and tap his lands. That's exactly what I'm doing. Our opponent shocked in Sacred Foundry, so he maybe has something that he wants to get. Nothing. I tap Swamp. Reflecting Pool is of course good. He has Removal Spell for my Arbo Elf. Malevolent Rumble is a great card. Here, combo card, Vespil Abbey as a colorless card, but there's also Mountain or Bojuka Bog. Bojuka Bog means I can get rid of his graveyard. Mountain means I can cast Prossh. I decide to get Bojuka Bog. Maybe that was a mistake. So here I will still port him because there's only Faithless Looting in his graveyard. Not too scared of that one. Opponent on 3 cards. Maybe it's still enough if we get to cast Prossh at some point. Surveil. Leaves it on top. Bad news. Here I cast Yawgmoth, only card I can cast. Opponent mana tight. I get to pay with Spawn and then cast Bok, or put in Bok. Get rid of his Faithless Looting. Opponent 2 cards in hand. Cast a sneak attack. Pass. So he has nothing. I play Fanatic of Ronus. I will tap his Reflecting Pool. And hopefully I get to dodge 1 turn. Maybe even more. Because next turn the Ronus can cast Prossh. And then I threaten Eldritch Evolution on Craterhoof. My opponent draws Demonic Council, which finds a demon. Red mana. Grizzlebrand, draw 7. Red mana, draw 7 again. He's on 1. Nothing I can do about it. He finds a creature that kills my 2 creatures. I still get to draw a card from the Yawgmoth, reducing his life gain a little bit. He gets to attack for 15, puts me to 3. Grief finds nothing relevant. I cannot even cast the Wyrms. And I draw Formidable Speaker. Nothing I can do. Bog versus Mountain, that was the deciding decision of the game, at least in my opinion. Round 5, 3-1. A 4-1 is still possible. We have some ramp, we have Skullclamp, we play against Glorp, Sultai, value card, probably a control deck. My hand is just ramp. Let's see how it goes. Noteworthy, I only have green and red lands, no black so far. Betramol Cup. Let's play the Mystic. Consider. Mystic resolves. Let's play the Cup. Play the Visit. Scry, Blood Crypt in the graveyard. Opponent just lets it go. Tapped land. Come on. The playback function sometimes struggles. I'm struggling too. My APM is 200. Yeah. Here I have mana to cast Prossh. I still didn't know what my opponent is playing. I should have figured out its control, so the better play would be Ninja Teen, Skullclamp, maybe equip on Betramol Cup and the Commercial District. It's all possible because Tiger and Elvish Mystic make 2 mana each. I decide to put Prossh on a stack. If I remember correctly. Yeah, Prossh. Surveil. Land to the graveyard. Attack for 2 with the Cup. Opponent has removal for Prossh, so maybe my board gets to survive. Maybe not. Toxic Deluge for 2. I'm quite certain that he drew it right now. Otherwise, the Go for the Throat makes no sense. He could just pay 5 life. We have a land. Thinking about it now, Ninja Teen and Skullclamp would have been okay, but given that he had Go for the Throat, he would have killed the Betramol Cup. So maybe the Prossh was a good play, because he needed to have mass removal, and he only drew that mass removal. If he just had to kill on Prossh, Ninja Teen, and Skullclamp, even Eldritch Evolution would have been able to finish him. I am quite certain. Now he has Glorp, and we have a bunch of nothing. Prossh costs 8 mana. So we had a good start. Chaos Defiler is a nice draw. Opponent on 4 cards, so there is hope. Let's see if our artifact creature can survive. Again, issue with the playback of this replay. It's usually glitching when my opponent has a good hand. Chaos Defiler kills the Glarb. Opponent kills the Chaos Defiler. Nothing else to get rid of. And again, I have Eldritch Evolution against a deck with counter spells. Maybe it's just a chance, or like it's just so good against the non-counter spell decks that you have to play it. But having it here feels miserable. I get to level up the Ninja team, so now later hopefully I get to sneak in something like Chaos Defiler or even Bechamel Cup for a little bit of value. My opponent, Intuitions, he shows me Demonic, Consultation, Jace and Tainted Pact. Combo is almost assembled. And now he has Ancestral Possession to bring back one of them. Jace to be exact, and now he has the combo and I concede from the game. Game number 2 against Glarb. We have some ramp, we have some removal, we have a Morlock. Maybe it's fine, let's go. We can get a Surveillant with the Arid Mesa. Boseiju, not too exciting. I'm thinking about it for a little bit, because I don't know what my opponent is playing. And then I put a Rumble on the stack. And here I'm also thinking for a little bit what to get. Fraxent Tower as a ramp spell, Earthcraft as a combo card, but I would need the basic for the Earthcraft to work. So I'm just getting the tower. Maybe Bechamel Cup would have been a better turn to play. But the Rumble didn't really give good cards. Psychic Frog. A card that is banned in Legacy because it's too strong. I do have 2 removal spells, a 4/4 Morlock that fights and a Chainsaw that deals 3 damage. Both of them are not good enough because he can just discard his hand, 6 cards, and survive and then get to draw cards next turn. The card should not be legal in Commander. It is banned in Legacy for a reason. My hand, all of a sudden, I have 2 removal spells for creatures. He has a creature on the battlefield, a 2-drop, but they don't do anything. So I get to play the Bechamel Cup. I still play the Chainsaw to make him discard 2 cards. He discarded 2 spells, Consult and Preordain. Frog is a 3/4. He attacks with the Frog. 5 cards, so blocking, not blocking, I don't think it matters. He still has enough cards to just pump everything he has in this Frog. He has cards in the graveyard, so he can give it flying. I don't block. Maybe it's correct to block. Let me know in the comments what you think. I just feel miserable. I have 2 removal spells that cannot kill the 2-drop of my opponent because he can just dump his whole hand into it. And even worse, it's a blue deck. So you can just keep the 1/2 counter spells that he has to make it possible. I think for a little bit, decide not to block. Opponent draws another card, plays a land, says go. Why would you play something else? 5 cards in hand. Psychic Frog on the battlefield, active. It looks dire. Even casting Prossh doesn't feel so good, because the Frog can just eat the 3 cards, discard 2. Fly over the Prossh, and if he has counterspell, even worse. Maybe I should have tried to just put the Prossh on his deck and hope, because at least the Prossh gets to eat all the kobolds, maybe block and trade with the Frog. But to be honest, like, I felt the game was over the moment he played the Frog, even though I had 2 removal spells in hand. I played the Bastion to have some late game value for the Prossh. It was memory lapse, so Bastion I will draw next turn, even worse. But if I would play the Prossh, he would have the Bastion anyways. The Memory Lapse anyways. Attacks with the Frog, 5 cards in hand. Don't think it matters, block or not block, the game is over. People are just not smart enough to understand that this is not an enjoyable piece of Magic, at least for the one that plays against a Psychic Frog. I get if you like blue-black decks, you leave the Psychic Frog so you can feel good for a game, but like he plays 1 card, he just needs 1-2 counter spells, and that's it. This time I decide to block. It's probably wrong. Get a counter on the Chainsaw. We drew the Bastion again because of Memory Lapse. So yeah, it's Frog and a counter spell. That's why the playback function is not working. Like it's it's telling me this shouldn't be possible in Duel Commander. So here I put Prossh on a stack. I will float a little bit more mana. Get the Surveil value with Bechamel Cup. Surveil port to the graveyard. Put Prossh on the stack. Get some Kobolds, get Prossh, attack for 2. Maybe there's a chance. 4 cards in hand. If he has a removal for Prossh. It's again terrible. 3 mana. Bargain, look at the top 4, put 2 in hand, 2 in the graveyard. Discard. Discard. Don't know why he discarded here. Probably just wanted to save some time because he has Toxic Deluge for 5. My Chainsaw gets counters. Yippee. Has to discard another card to make it a 1-2, but once the turn is over, it's a 6-7 that Morlock can not possibly fight. We draw a blank. Opponent is on 9 life though, because the Deluge was expensive, at least life-wise. So maybe there's a chance with the Bastion, with the Chainsaw, to get over the finish line. Having drawn 2 other lands is of course not that great. Maybe I should have thought about the Westvale Abbey a little bit more. But we are far away from having 5 tokens. Here I just get to make a soldier and get to equip it. 4-1, at least there's something. 9 life for my opponent. Of course he gets to draw more with the Frog. This time he doesn't make the mistake of not giving it flying like he did in the previous turns. No way for me to block. My soldier doesn't fly. Plays another broken card in Oculus. Maybe that describes why he didn't exile his graveyard quick enough, because he needed 6 other cards for this card. He still has 4 left, so I feel there's plenty of cards that you could exile to draw 1 more card with a Frog. Three cards in hand, maybe there's a chance. I make some mana. I also want to play the Westvale Abbey before anything, because Mana Leak I could pay with Tower and Abbey. So I cancel the payment. Play the Morlock again. It would be a 5-5, so I would only trade with the Oculus. My opponent has Mana Leak. I pay for it. My opponent has Daze. It gets countered. And he has lethal on the backswing. I lose. So, after 5 rounds, we are 3-2. Started off very strong, 3-0. We won against Failure. I feel some interaction in Armageddon is the best the deck can do. Mana Tide, so the 1 mana counter spell, is of course crucial. Opponent didn't have it in any of those games. He won the game with Armageddon, he lost the 2 other games. I don't know much about the matchup, about Prossh itself, but to me it feels that what we are trying to accomplish just beats what Felia is trying to accomplish on so many levels. So yeah, that was nice. Then we won against Atraxa. The most important interaction was Dream Halls, because we got to exile with Archmage's Charm. I think it's Archmage's Charm. No, not Archmage's Charm. Druid's Charm, the green exile target enchantment with Atraxa trigger on the stack. That was fantastic. So we got there in the end. Then we beat Griselbrand. Also close games. Again, the combo of having an enchantment that drains life and Prossh is fantastic. You can kill out of nowhere. Then we lost against Glarp, who just had a faster clock. Psychic Frog is insanely dumb card. It just puts everything he has into it and has a few counter spells on top of it. That seals the deal. I don't think Psychic Frog should be legal in the format, but that's just me. You saw what happens if it is backed up by counter spells. It just creates a game that is no game to be had. Game 1 was close. Certainly I could have done different things. As I'm not an expert with the deck, it was a bit unfortunate that in the match beforehand against the Mardu Reanimator, I took the Bojuka Bok and then I had Swamp Bojuka Bok, so I couldn't cast Prossh. Also, probably my mistake, I just hoped that his hand was terrible and he needed the Faceless Looting. And his hand was terrible because he played a sneak attack. He had red mana, but nothing to put in. Then he drew the Demonic Council to find Griselbrand, which is obviously, Demonic Council, probably the second best draw, Griselbrand probably the best draw, because when you're on 20-something life, this is just the best way to get back into the game. Opponent also opened one game with Shallow Grave on Archon on turn 2. It's not the craziest turn 2, because it could also be an Animate Dead or Exhume, any of the permanent based reanimation. Still, he got 2 cards from our hand, got 2 cards added to his hand, and also drained for 6 life and dealt 6 damage. And that, retrospectively speaking, was also the reason why I was so low at one game, because I wondered at one moment in time that I was on 4 life and I only had the pay 1 life land, but this is due to that turn 2 where Archon of Cruelty dealt 12 damage to my face. So now it begins to make sense again. The deck is so much fun to play. It is very unique that you get to create the kobolds before the Prossh is actually resolving. So your opponent has to deal with 2 things at the same time. First, the goblins, which there are fantastic combos with. You saw it with the Shared Animosity in one game. So much fun. Goblin Bombardment, fantastic way. What else is there? Porphyros, also a fantastic way to make use of these 0/1 red kobolds that you bring into the game, as well as this Prossh. So yeah, the deck feels cool. The mana is a bit of a struggle, and also you need to sequence your turns perfectly, right? It's not like a control deck where you can play a card and then see what happens. You need to know exactly what you're doing from the first to the last play every turn. Otherwise your mana will not work, right? You have cards that need 3 green, cards that need double black, cards that need red mana. The Castle Embereth needing 2 red mana and itself. It is quite mana intense, and if you understand how the triggers work and how the mana needs to be spent, I think the deck is worthy. Probably a good Prossh player would have done a 4-1. Still, I think 3-2 for first time Prossh is fantastic. I'm super happy with the result, and I'm super happy that I got to see most of the cards, especially the cards I liked. I was a bit skeptical about Psymaster's Vault, but it happened to be fantastic because I in one game pumped one of the creatures so it wouldn't die, and then I still had lethal on board. So I also love this card. Like, it's cool, it's niche. Probably there is no other commander deck or dual commander deck that gets to play it. It's fantastic. I also love the Richard Port game, even though we lost it. But it's a way to basically ramp yourself while also denying your opponent. And given how people like to spend their mana, this is actually quite crucial. I'm sad that I didn't Eldritch Evolution for Creative Behemoth, starting with Prossh once. Maybe I didn't see it at one time. But overall, the deck felt great. I loved Methood Massacre, I loved Morlock, so many cool cards that are in it. And if you don't know what to play next in Duel Commander, give this deck a try. And I understand now why Adrien did placed on rank 2 in a Duel Commander tournament with a size of 100 people, and that means something. So that's it for today. I will hear you next Thursday for Duel Commander. If you want a deck to be played, let me know in the comments. Take care that the deck needs to be completely on Magic Online. Otherwise, I cannot play it. Think about Deadpool. This cannot be played on Magic Online. So far, so good. I see you around.